Hello, my name is Darren Doherty, and I will be demoing my full stack capstone project for NewForce. It is called DARcare, and it is an EHR, which is electronic health record system, much like a hospital or a clinic would use to keep track of patient data, patient visits, just anything relating to the patient's care. First thing that we are going to be presented with when we open DARcare is a login screen where we will log in as a specific employee. Many login screens have the option to register. However, we will have that centralized as a functionality that only an admin can do, and I will display that kind of towards the end of this presentation. But let's go ahead and sign in as one of our nurses here at St. Sarah's Regional Medical Center. So we will log in as Jane Doe, one of our nurses here. And when we log in as Jane, we are presented with our home screen. It welcomes us, hey Jane. And here on the left, we have a few different options that Jane can click on. And we also have the active patients table, which is going to kind of be the central driver of this entire application. It shows various patients who are here at the hospital and just some information about them, who they are, their date of birth, where they are. But let's take a look at some stuff Jane can do. So when we are looking at general, this is her department. It's the department Jane is currently working in. And general means she really has no department. She's looking at all the patients throughout the entire hospital. But if we wanted to, we could click on change department. We could look at a specific department. Let's look at the emergency room. If we do that, it'll filter everything down and Jane will be looking at only the patients here in the emergency room. And we can click on change department, go straight back to general and see all of our patients again. When we are looking at these patients, there are kind of two different categories that we can go into to see more information. We have the chart, which talks about the current visit for the patient, why they are here right now. And then we have the file. Let's take a look at the file for Mr. Peter Bober. So when I go in there, we're going to see some basic information about Peter Bober, just demographic information. And then we are also going to see a list of all Peter's encounters. Right now, he only has one, which is his active encounter. But some patients have been here more than once. And if we get lucky, we might find one here. Here we go. Mr. Andy Kieler has been here twice. So you can see he had an encounter back in 1990, and he currently has one here from 2024. So it doesn't matter how many encounters he's had here, we'll see them all listed here in his file. The other thing we can look at is the chart, which again is just information about the current visit. So if we want to go in to a patient, let's look at Flora Walters. Let's go into her chart. So we have information about her again, helpful for determining we're looking at the correct patient. When she was admitted, if she had been discharged, this encounter had, it would show the time it was discharged. It's active, so it's showing it's active. And here under treatment history, we see a list of all the procedures that have been done to Miss Walters. Currently, there's nothing, but since we are Jane Doe the nurse, let's go ahead and add one. So we click on add treatment. We are presented with a drop down of various treatments we can apply to her. If we wanted to, we could start typing and search by text like that. But let's keep it simple. Go with our top one, which is a 100 milliliter IV of saline. We will choose when this is being applied. So currently it is 9:06 p.m. March 21st. Put in the current time, and we can put in some notes. So Jane Doe saying I had ministered, but we're going to spell it correctly. We're going to cheat and right click 100 milliliter saline. Submit, and once we do that, we can see the entry here for our treatment that we just did. We have the time it was put in, a description of it, who did it, notes on it, and a code. Um, Most medical procedures have a medical code that goes with them. These are randomly generated, so it may or may not correlate with the real saline solution, but we have it here so that we can differentiate it from other treatments. And if we decide that Miss Flora Walters is feeling better after that saline, we can go ahead and discharge her. And when we do that, we can see that she no longer has an active account here. She's been discharged from the hospital, which is awesome. She's feeling better. If we want, we can go see the patient database, which will list all of our patients, whether they have an active encounter or not. If they're in the database, there's like 4,000 of them in here. We can see them. But scrolling, like I'm trying to do right now, let's say we want to check out Miss Walters. She's in the W. She's going to be pretty far down. What we can do is search. We have a few different options. We can do by last name, first name, or date of birth. I remember her last name was Walters, so I can start searching for her. I typed a W, typed an A, and as I type more and more, it's going to filter the names by what includes the string of text within that search bar. If I hit Walt, we can see Flora Walters appears. There's an option to look at her file, much like we saw earlier. And if I do that, I can see the chart. This is going to be the encounter we just discharged her out of. I can go into that chart, and you can see it shows the time that she was discharged. And then the last thing that Jane is going to do here is register a patient. So this is going to be a brand new patient coming in. We click register, and the first thing that we'll need to do is search, because we do not want to put like a duplicate patient in the system, anything like that. We want to see if this patient already has a file here. So I can look for someone who I know is in here and show you what it looks like. Haley Talman, 2008. And I'll leave this gender unfilled right now to show you if I try to search without all my inputs, it'll give us a no, we can't do that. We need to fill all these out. Let me search for Haley. If I do that, then I get match found, and I can go ahead and register Haley here. But let's take a look at what happens if we do not have a patient who currently exists in the system. So let me just make somebody up here. We'll make up Fred Smith. He was born 1988. Perfect. He's a male. Search. No patient found. Fred's never been here. Let's go ahead and add him. We click that. We get a pop-up to make sure that we have the date of birth correct and the spelling of the patient's name. If I was registering them, I'd probably have them in front of me. I would repeat it back to them, make sure it's correct. If I'm sure it is, I would hit OK. We add Fred to the system there. We now have a match for Fred, and I can register an encounter for him. Again, I'll just choose the current time. He's showing up to the hospital right now. Put him in a department. Let's go with the emergency room. And let's put him in a room 11. Submit it. We are taken back to our active patient screen. And right there, Fred Smith. He's here with his new encounter. And if we want to go into his chart, we can treat him just like we saw previously. All right, for the last feature, I'm going to actually log out as Jane Doe, and I'm going to log in as Robert Smith, who is in the role of system administrator. So in addition to all the functionality that Jane had, Robert also has an admin panel. If we click on that, we have a menu where we can manage staff at the hospital. We click on manage, and it's kind of looking like our patient database, but this is going to be all of our employees here at the hospital. And this is going to be basic CRUD functionality. We have a list of our employees here, doctors, nurses, but let's say we have a new employee added, we can, or hired, we can go ahead and add them here. I'll put a name, it'll be John Jackson. We'll say John is an LPN. Credentials, LPN, title nurse. Give him a username. Give him a very private password. that is not just password and his initials. And we're going to give him a classification. So he is clinical, non-prescribing. He's not a doctor. So we click to add him, and we see him here. John Jackson is added. We could also manage him. So if I wanted to change details, I could say, oh, actually, his name is Jack Johnson, not John Jackson. He's actually an RN, still a nurse. Of course, changing his last name to follow our just work protocol. We'd want to change his username. We'll keep him as clinical, non-prescribing. And you can see the changes that we made are here. Last thing though is if we run into a situation where we got to let Jack Johnson go, we can do that with our delete button. We click that and he is removed from the employee database. So that is the current administrative functionality, and that shows all the features for DARcare. Thank you.